Welcome, I'm Jonathan Kay, and today's webinar is going to be an introduction to the SimsUshare Command Training Center for remote training. Yeah, I just started the webinar, and so having a little bit of Zoom fun over here. Just thought, I don't know if other people have tried this out. It is kind of neat. So anyway, today is going to be about a 20-minute presentation. Uh-oh. No, that doesn't seem good. No, I'm doing a webinar here. I don't know what. Can you please just? Oh no. Now we're really. Can you help me out, please? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, looks like we're doing a little better. A little better. Oh yeah, that looks good. Just a little bit more. A little more. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh look. Now they burned my slide. That's not very nice. Okay, so anyway, this is getting a little bit, they say, a little stir crazy there. So don't worry, you won't won't find that much anymore from me. Let's get on to the serious stuff. That was kind of fun. So thank you again for joining me here. And essentially, for people just in a nutshell, the Command Training Center is a way for you to run simulation exercises online where you are controlling multiple devices from a central screen. So you have one instructor who can see and control multiple participants, each on their own computer, wherever they happen to be, computer, iPad, Android phone, whatever, in the station, in an office, even at home. You also can have multiple instructors or evaluators who see kind of the bird's eye master view. So this is something particularly now with this age of sort of social distancing, it can be useful for continuing to do your kind of practical hands-on sim training all remotely without having to be sharing a single screen. So now, obviously, all good training starts with assembling the right processes and material. Typically, I like to just start with the idea of what are some of the things that you might be looking at to do in sim training around officer development. Could be communication, decision-making skills, things like that. Many things around initial operations, as we'll see in a minute, make a lot of good exercises. Command transfers and initial reports, strategic shifts. At the company level, you may just want to use the sim training for walkthroughs. Just let's see, I'm getting some questions. I want to make sure that the sound is okay. Yeah, okay, you got it. Thank you. Thanks, appreciate it. I want to make sure. So company level training, walkthroughs, slideshows, size ups, review of responsibilities. So even just putting up a potential incident and walking around saying who does what are these responsibilities? How am I going to practice communicating? Still extremely useful, especially as a team. So you're really getting to know what the team does, getting the routine down, getting to know what to expect. At the executive officer level, you could use simulation training for doing SOP or SOG verification or reviews. Do our SOPs adequate for handling various types of incidents and kind of curveballs that come along the way. This is a nice slide from Ted Nee, which just sort of shows kind of initial operations, a couple of really nice areas you may want to investigate to do sim training. For example, in your initial radio reports, your size up, strategic shifts, follow-up reports, all good areas you could make simulations that focus on one or more of these areas and really help tighten and tune your process. CAN reports, command transfers, and assign units during doing, I guess it's task location objective. So to help you to start assembling a process, start thinking these ideas, looking at how you get moving with this, we've created a handbook. You'll see here SimsUshare.com/tutorials and help. And this discusses both the need for training and how you might actually start creating your own processes. We also discuss, we also present materials, checklists, design documents, things like that to help you create your own. So definitely worth checking out. If you're just starting, even if you've have your own program, it may be useful to find some ideas. And certainly if you have some suggestions for us, please let us know, because we would definitely like to incorporate them and help everyone along. Now, this book is available on our help page, and it is right at one of the top buttons. So that's sort of shown over here. So in a nutshell, what is the CTC and how does that relate to the SimsUshare environment? So if we look at the SimsUshare environment, you have the app, which is the Windows, Mac, iOS, or Android program. And that's used for sim development. Right now, you only can create sims on the app. Now that app also, in addition to be able to create sims, you then also can play them, obviously. So that's where you're just running a simulation. Maybe you're showing it on the screen. Maybe you're connecting to projector. So you've got, in the sim development app, you have this also the standalone, the player, and then also now with the multi-company functionality, the app becomes an exercise participant. But notice here that this is a participant. The instructor actually is done on a browser. The controller is handled through a browser. So if you go to ctc.simsushare.com, we're going to see in a minute, you're going to be presented with two sides of this one screen. On the left-hand side, this is where the instructor or controller would log in. And so this is where you are going to start a multi-company exercise. To participate in the exercise, originally you would simply use the app. So you'd have to have the app installed on the device. Recently, we made a web player available. So if you don't have the app or don't want to use the app for whatever reason, maybe you don't want to have to install it, you can now have your participants go to, again, that same page, ctc.simsushare.com, and use the right-hand side, and then they'll be able to participate in an exercise if you've started an exercise. Then they don't need any particular login, as we're going to see. One little caveat, as we'll see, is with this participant login is still in our kind of beta phase. And so to get the absolute best experience currently, it's best to use the app as a participant. But as you'll see, the web player is just about done. And so it's more than capable if you want to have your participants use the web player to participate in your SimsUshare exercises. So now again, the website, the idea is that now to run an exercise, you can just use browsers. You don't need to have the app installed. Now we do put a little caveat there. It's all browser-based, no installs. You need to use either Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, essentially not Internet Explorer, unfortunately. So any of the other browsers, they call sort of the modern browsers, and you can run both the instructor and the participant or the viewer. You still may want to use the app for other reasons, for kind of clarity, but as kind of we'll see, but the system is all set to use the web exclusively. So now just to kind of run through why you might run extra CTC exercises, well, the ability to control multiple devices. You can have crews inside, outside, responding all at the same time, like a real incident, obviously. You can run the exercise on the internet, where the participants are in station or now maybe in their homes or in all across your geographic area. Again, no installation beyond no installation, even the SimsUshare app is needed to participate. The SimCloud is basically just the cloud drive where you draw your simulations, and I'll show you draw it from. So you take your development environment, you upload them, and that's where they get distributed from. And then full documentation and free online classes. A lot of good things here with the CTC. So now when I actually log in as an instructor or evaluator, well, the CTC administration page actually has a couple more buttons. And we're going to see this live in a moment. You have the simulation tab, which is going to be where all your simulations are, as well as access to our free simulations that you can bring into your account and change. The exercises tab is going to be for running multi-company exercises. The users, you can also, as the administrator, you can create users who are, now users are going to be instructors, other people who can run simulations. When you're participating in an exercise, you don't need any kind of login. So in this case here, users mean other administrators in your account, other people who can run exercises. And we're going to see that again in a moment. So let's take a look now for when you're running an exercise, so a multi-company drill. This left-hand side screen, you'll see I sort of put the label instructor. this is going to be the person who has created the exercise, and you're going to see when you create an exercise and start running it, all your locations are going to be laid out in a grid. You can change the number of locations per row, but you'll see here like A, and these are just whatever you've named your location, A, B, C, etc. So on the right-hand side, we have two kinds of participants. The top one is the SimsUshare app, and I just made this participant called Engine 2. And the bottom right is the Battalion 1, and this is actually a web page. So they can certainly easily coexist in the same exercise, depending on how you want your participants to participate. So as you'll see here, Battalion 1, if you look on the instructor panel, or the dashboard, we call it, you'll see the Battalion 1 here is in location A, where Engine 2 is in the living room. And now as your units move around, then this dashboard is going to get updated with where your participants are. And now similarly, as we're going to see, if you wanted to say move Battalion 1 over to the Alpha Bravo side or into some other condition, you could just click on the token and drag that person to the location, the slide that you wanted them to be on. So what we do is wanted to make this very straightforward. So let's take a look at a live demonstration of all this happening. Let's see, so I'm going to now bring up, once I've logged in here to this test account, I've got my buttons here. If I go to simulations, you'll see here, I have all the simulations in my account, and it's telling me sort of my capacity, giving me some options over here. And now this is now the general template area. Now, if I wanted to look at a simulation, just to kind of preview it, I log in here and I can just double click. And you can see then it shows me a screen here. I can go full screen. I can go and do my walk around. This is me just looking at the simulation. Again, I'm in a browser. Now, if I would like to, I could rename it. I could do other things here. If I want to look now, these are the free simulations available, and you'll see there's a little link to show where these free are available and how to get them. But I can also, these exist as kind of templates. So if I click on here, and now I say, here is in the Fire Rescue TV training sims, I want to see what is, let's say, Salvation Home look like. I can double click that. Now this is again just a template. What I do, if I wanted to bring this into my account, I click on it and I hit Import Sim. And you'll notice there, Salvation Home is now in my account. Once it's in my account, that's when I can use it as part of a multi-company simulation. I can download it into my into the SimsUshare app and everything from my account. So just these are a really convenient way to distribute simulations. And as I say here, that if you're looking to see what are these free simulations, a lot of really good ones, from simple to complicated, just use this click here. So now I am now the admin, so I can do all this stuff. I can delete exercises. I can rename delete scenarios, rename all that stuff. Now, if I had, let me look at my users here. So when I get the user tab here, and I'm able to now create more users. Again, remember, these users are instructors. They're not participants. So if I want to create another user, I go here and just put in whatever email I want for this person. Let's say test.com. I put the name here. I put the password. And then the critical thing here is going to be user rights. User rights. This is going to determine how much power this user has. Admin is like me, who can create, modify, delete users. You can delete exercises, can upload everything. An instructor, right, means that that person can only run exercises. So they can't delete exercises. They can't create or change users. So you may want to have several people who can run exercises, but not necessarily be able to kind of muck around with your simulations. So you'd create a user or several users who have the instructor rights, but not the admin rights. And then the last one here is shared, means they can't even, the shared people can only download simulations. They can't even run exercises. So mostly you're going to have instructors, and you may have a couple admins, and you're not limited to the number in your account. So now let's go back over to exercises here, and let's actually create an exercise. So I go over here, and let's say let me actually go here. I'll go to my app over here, and if I would like to, if I go to edit or play, let's say I have these scenarios, and now I want to bring them up into the CTC. what I would do is I would just click, decide, let me say, okay, I'll bring up a couple of these. So I'm going to go here to the menu and say upload sims. And now I go to the repository. Right now I only have the SimCloud here. So I hit connect. And now I put in my username and password. Once I do that, it says here from device, these are all the simulations. And all I have to do is I have to click on the one I want to upload, and I click the greater than, and it's already up there. So I'm just going to say I'll overwrite it. And let's say if I have another one, let's say like this one here, and see now these are the ones that are going to get uploaded to the SimCloud in my account. I hit start, and they pack 0, and it's all set. So let's go back over here now. And if we go back over to simulations, we'll see there's the Stockton sim I just uploaded, as well as the CSR water. So now that's how you would upload. You could do the reverse to download simulations from your account. But let's now run an exercise. So what I'm going to do now is go into exercises, and let me actually refresh here because that was an administrator thing. So now if I go and hit create exercise, I'm going to give a name. Let's say I'm going to make it 123 Main Street. I'm going to make up a one-time use code. This is a code I'm going to give to the participants in place of any kind of login. So you want to make it something easy, but also something that's just not, that maybe other customers wouldn't be using at the time. You don't want to be popping into other people's meetings. If I said like 123, you might have a chance someone else has that meeting already. Now you wouldn't be able to create an exercise if they use that same code, but you don't want your participants dropping in on other people's exercises accidentally. So make your code a little bit customized to you, and you'll be fine. So then I say which simulation. I have to have at least one that I'm running in my SimCloud account. What's going to happen is SimsUshare is going to distribute that simulation to all the participants. So what I'll do is I'll say, let's say 1024 Stockton, and I'll hit create. And now I'm at my staging area here. So at this point, I'm going to kind of drop this, move it over here, and show you now. Let's say that I want to now join the exercise. I go in SimsUshare. I'm going to go in the top right corner and say start multiplayer mode. Hit CTC server. That's the one we want. And now I'm going to put in here whatever the code was. And the code, you see, if I need to reminder, sometimes I forget, the code is written there, main ST. Now you would tell your participants that. They're not going to know automatically. They're not seeing your screen. So I do that. I hit join. And now if the scenario is already on the computer, it's going to say, oh, should I re-download it or keep it? I'm going to keep it for now. Notice as the instructor, you now have your participants lining up. Now, if I were on the browser version, so I had gone to ctc.simsushare.com, I hit participant login, I'm going to come up to this screen here. And here, you'll notice it says your unit name. I'm going to call battalion 1, and my exercise code I already put in main ST. And so now, if I can already start the exercise if I wanted to, I don't have to wait for everyone to come in. But you'll notice here, now this is waiting for a controller to start. So I can hit start over here. And now you'll see here on different screens that you've got engine 2 and battalion 1. And you'll see here on my dashboard, you'll see I have 3 locations in this scenario, A, B, and then C and D. And now as I move around, you'll see, as I move around on one, you're seeing on the dashboard, watch how engine 2, the token is moving around. So that's how this works. And that works whether or not you're with the web player or with the SimsUshare player. Now, with the web player, again, each participant, imagine I'm now the web player here, or one of the players, I'm seeing this screen. If I want, I can go and actually make it all full screen. And you see, so I'm not seeing anything else. I'm just seeing this, and I can make it full screen. So this is more impactful to me. And I just hit the escape key to kind of bring it back down or do my usual scaling down. And similarly, if you're running in the web player, if you're running in the SimsUshare player, there is a full screen mode. And so you're seeing it, you're only seeing what you're allowed to see. Meanwhile, the instructor here is seeing where each of the units are. Now, right below the dashboard, actually, so before I get to that, you'll notice the instructor has a little preview window here. And that is actually showing whatever I click on. So if I hit here, you see I hit the D key, not the D key, but the D location, the C. That's going to show me as instructor to remind me about what does AB look like, what does CD. So I can use this little previewer to show me what the location looks like. I can also, if I click on one of the units, let's say engine 2, I can see what engine 2 is doing, even when engine 2, as we'll see here, starts to move around. So it just tracks this user. And that way I could, if I'm focused, let's say I'm an evaluator, I could make sure that I'm watching whatever engine 2 is actually doing. Now, if I want to stop it, I can just click, I should be able to click away. Let's see if I can't, I should be able to, let's see if I select all and deselect, or I probably can hit shift and click for control or something. So now right beneath the dashboard, you'll see communication chat. So this is now for me sending messages to the units. Right now it's set to all. So if I were over here and said, okay, on scene 2 minutes. Now when I hit this button here, you'll see they get messages. And on here, the app, they get it right in the center. In the web player, they get a little message here. You have to click acknowledge to clear it. Now, this says all here, but I can also send it just to individual units. So let's say if engine 2, I wanted to say, let's say report you found a victim. I set it to engine 2, I hit that, and now you see only engine 2 is getting that message. Now, along the bottom of the instructor panel, you have here a transcript, which is really nice. Everything is time-stamped. All the movements, all the messages, everything that's done is you get a little transcript that you could even copy out at the end, maybe make part of the exercise record or something in the critique and hot wash you can review. Now also you have 2 different views along the bottom. The left view here is mirroring the bottom, this little corner view. So the left view and this corner view are actually the same. If I want to go here and click, you'll see I hit D, and you'll see down there, now it's on side D, at the AD. The one on the right is your own instructor little preview that is actually active. So this would be something if you've forgotten how the navigation goes, or you want to actually navigate this, you're the only one as the instructor or evaluator who is seeing what's happening in that. So that's really the idea for how you actually run exercises. Fairly straightforward. You can also change the number of locations per row. This is a pretty simple exercise. Still, it could be used as a nice sort of walkthrough. When I'm done running an exercise, and say I want to run another, I can hit end exercise. Now, if you notice what will happen, if I just happen to just close this here, the exercise doesn't end. What happens is that you can actually then go and join it. So let's say something happens, I get interrupted, the exercise keeps going. So what I'll do now is go over back to CTC SimsUshare.com. And then what I'll go is into my exercises, and you'll see now there are current exercises being run, and you can run multiple exercises at the same time. I'll click on current exercises, it tells me what's running, how many users, I'll hit join, and now I'm back into the exercise, and I can now still be controlling everything. So you could have another user, I say user instructor, also log in and get the same panel, and each of you would have that sort of full control. But now when I'm done with the exercise, just to kind of clean up, I would like to hit end exercise, press OK to terminate, hit OK. And it closes here on this, not yet, it doesn't close, but I'm going to just reset that, hit OK. And now I can start another exercise. So I'm going to show you a little more complex exercise and something that we've just come out with called SimsUshare States. So if I make an exercise, I'm going to call it now 120 Maple Street. I'm going to give another code, I'll just say Maple. And here I'll use a simulation called Myrtle. If I hit 120 Myrtle, and I hit, let me go down and hit start, create this exercise, and I'm just going to go ahead and start it. You'll notice something a little bit different from this exercise than the other ones. And what I'm going to show you in a moment, you see how some of the locations here are different colors. So like you have A, C, D, but then you have this sort of darker gray A, B, C, D, and it's no coincidence that these darker ones are not named like the lighter ones. And I'll show you what will happen over here. If I now put the code in as Maple and my unit name is engine 2, it's already on this machine, so I'm going to do keep. There's engine 2 is there, and now battalion 1, I'm also going to put in Maple here, and I'm going to hit create, and there, now we're starting over there. So now as I move around, you'll see I'm moving around as engine 2. I'm moving around in the lighter colored gray boxes. And these, the simulation designer has made them so they are the initial arrival conditions. And so here I'm moving around, and even as I go interior, because we do have some interiors here, you'll see I go first floor, second floor, whatever. And similarly, battalion 1 can move around, but really inside this condition. So how am I going to get to these slides? Well, one way to get to the slide is if I actually just drag engine 2 over into, let's say, this W, which the designer has said made for worse. So if I drag them to W, watch what happened. The light color now shifted to all the W locations. And so what we call this W is a state identifier, or really it's the square brackets, because it's not just a single code. And we're going to get more into states in other webinars, but this is a critical, hugely important feature where you can collect this you can collect a set of locations all with the same condition. And then, as you notice, instantly transfer all the units to that condition. So if you notice here, let's say I'm in Battalion 1's on Delta and engine 2 is in Alpha. Or even I'm going to make engine 2 go over into the first floor or onto the second floor. So now I'll actually go, because the interesting stuff is happening on the third floor. But let me say over here. So all I have to do now, I could drag one unit over into another condition, or you'll notice there's a little switch here. It says change state to. So SimsUshare automatically infers from your state identifier all the different conditions. Now, one big caveat is that your locations have to all be defined in that state. So I can't be, like, for example, missing an W slide. That's going to mess things up. So you do have a little more accounting to deal with when you're making your simulations. You need to have, if you're going to use states, you want to make sure to have locations for all the different states. And here that you have basically a state with no location. So that's kind of the empty state. That's fine. All the locations that don't have the state are grouped into the initial or empty state. And so what I can do here with this is now I can just go and change the condition. If I say, let me change it back to the incipient condition, you'll see they all get shifted over at the same time. You notice Battalion 1, Engine 2. And this is a huge time saving, because if you have 1 or 2, it's not a bad thing to move them over individually. But if you had 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 you were working on, manipulating, it would take you a fair amount of time to move them into the appropriate condition. So this lets you, in one fell swoop, just move them all into the appropriate condition. And that way also you won't have some seeing one condition and another seeing a different condition and just really waiting for you to move around. So in a nutshell, if you don't use states, you don't have to. There's nothing, and states are only created when you use the name with the square brackets. Then you can just still move people around, and even if this location represents not just a visual but a different condition, SimsUshare doesn't really care. But what we do is we recommend, if you're going to go into this multi-condition kind of simulation, just a good idea to have a naming convention. And so why not use this idea of name of location and then in brackets the state identifier, and that way it makes it really easy to run a simulation where you would actually have multiple conditions and being able to easily switch those conditions kind of on the fly, based either on the crew decision, they're putting water on a fire, maybe not enough, so you have a set of locations about insufficient water, or maybe that the scenario evolved, that it's now a fire extension situation, and bring them into, for example, over here, if I wanted to make it a much worse condition, I'll bring them into here now, where you'll see, let me just switch back from, for example, you've got really terrible stuff going on, and you can see here, just makes it really, really simple to run exercises where you can then have people see the results, the consequences of the decision, or of how the scenario has evolved. So anyway, that's the idea of using the CTC. I do also wanted to show you doing the fun Zoom background. If you're interested, I want to put a link, especially for recording here, some of the videos I used in the morning to have to the smoke and fire. That's what happens when you, I guess, are sort of cooped up a bit. You think of these sort of crazy things. Well, thank you very much for your attention. I'm going to leave this up here while I answer any questions that you may have. So I look forward to hearing, and if people need to go, I certainly understand. I appreciate your attention. I'm going to be stopping the recording. I'll keep the recording going for a little bit, see what people have. So if you either want to ask questions in the chat window, or if you want to use the Q&A, I'm happy to be here for a few more minutes to answer those questions. Thank you again.